doop. I want... There we go. Alright. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to last. I have downed some coffee. Doesn't seem to be helping today, so... yeah. It's a bit of a... We're, a little tired. I wanted to go straight into shading, but I remembered something. Piece of the design of my character. Make sure I'm on the right layer. Actually, let's go ahead and sketch it first. That way I don't have to worry too much about it looking perfect, and then I can... all I'm doing is I'm going to be adding a satchel backpack. And I don't know... I mean, as far as adding the satchel backpack, I think the only thing that we actually see in this point of view is the sash. I think most of it actually gets covered up by the posture. That's alright. Probably gonna hear me sighing a lot as I deal with my chronic tiredness that I have been feeling this week. I don't know if it's just my bad sleeping, but I am super tired this week. Like, far more than I usually am. That's okay. Still gotta get some practice in. Coming. You know, I would hate to be working so hard and actually start backtracking on anything that I've learned. So I think it's important that we well, hello there, Vucky. Welcome. I am really living up to the name of Latte Night, as I feel like I'm dying. Not literally, of course, just out of sheer exhaustion. To the point where coffee is not helping. It's funny because, you know, I use a lot of coffee. I drink a lot of coffee. So I built up a tolerance to it. And sometimes that bites me in the butt when I actually really need it. It's like coffee is my best friend whenever I need to do work, but whenever I really need it, it's probably a little too late for me. So yeah, not sure how long I'm gonna go. I'm gonna try to start the shading process once I get done with trying to add this small little detail of essentially the bag strap interacting with the jacket by having to go around the jacket rather than just being flat on the jacket. Right before the stream, though, I was considering of drinking even more coffee, and I'm like, nope, that's not really gonna help me. If one cup is not helping me, all I'm doing is screwing up my sleeping schedule by drinking more. And I'd much rather go to bed exhausted, that way my body just plops, rather than having the jitters at night. Even though I do have a high caffeine tolerance now, I can still pretty badly impact my sleeping schedule. I don't think I like that. Well, an attempt was made. I wanted some type of interaction with the strap and the jacket to not be so flat, but I think it has to be extremely subtle. Like I said, I don't want to spend too much time doing this almost not important detail of his costume. The whole reason I gave him a backpack. Hey cutie patootie, welcome. Glad you could make it. was I saying? Oh, the whole reason I even gave my heroes backpacks and everything is because I hate the whole RPG element of oh, you just carry your stuff in your butt and you just whip it out, you know. So I thought I would give him a way to store all his gear that he uses. I think that's as good as we're gonna get, especially adding it pretty late into the drawing. Let's just touch up the lines here and there, and then we can get on with the shading. Alright, let's go ahead and save. Now this one's actually going to be interesting because all of the other things that I had been coloring and shading, I had been doing in full color. This piece, because I plan on doing manga style whenever I start doing my comic book, this piece is going to be completely in black and white. So we're going to see how well that looks. So we're gonna only use a grayscale. Is that the same art you were doing last time? Yes and no. Here, I completely started from scratch. It's the same concept, but I completely started from scratch because I hated the pose. And so I kind of redid the whole pose, and decided to go with a more of a body shot. But yeah, I completely started from scratch because that's what I love to do. I love to hate myself and torture myself. Where's my color picker anyway? So because we're not doing color, we're not going to have the gray background like we do when we start with coloring. I don't remember if I saved. I hope I spent today cleaning up the lines, making sure all of my lines connected and all that stuff, so we can go ahead and just start. So obviously, if I can remember what the first step is to do. Tired brain. Tired brain needs a little bit of a jump start. Let's I guess start with the darkest thing, and that would be his jacket. So oh, thank you. I do appreciate that. One of my favorite things to do, because, you know, I don't have anyone here helping me. So I constantly have a full-length mirror that I stare at myself in. I was in this pose for so long, trying to figure it out. All right. Drawing a blank here. I need a color first, so we on the right layer. Oh yeah, let's go ahead and lock our clean line, that way we don't accidentally color. on the eraser. That makes sense. I was like, nothing happened. There we go. Okay. Computer is taking a little bit longer today. Hope it's doing okay. Now, I guess I can kind of do that when I start doing the shading and everything. I gotta make sure that these patches seem a little bit more shiny, because those are the pads that you would have on a motorcycle jacket. But I was talking with a friend of mine. He's like, "You've been drawing nothing but like action poses." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm drawing an action comic." And he's like, "Yeah, but your people are gonna have like real lives, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So I need to start doing some domestic poses, or else it's gonna be non-stop fighting in my comic. I think it's actually taking a little bit longer because I started with the canvas a little bit bigger than normal. I think I need to go back to my original size of canvas. I just wanted to increase it to see if I can do a little bit more detailing. No, he is a IT person, so he works with fixing people's computers. Think of like Best Buy. They have like the people you can call that fix your computers. I forget what they're called. I don't have a jointed mannequin. I want to get one. It's just money's tight, and trying to get one without having like a ridiculous shipping and handling kind of sucks. But I am planning on getting one. Yes. I know that there's an app, and I actually want to get it for my tablet in the meantime. The only problem is, when I'm streaming, I use my tablet for chat. So there's a lot of lore, which I may or may not um, actually touch on before, like almost like a issue 0 that kind of explains why he is what he is, like as far as an IT expert. Uh, I don't know if like I want to when I actually start developing this. I don't know if I want to start with issue 1 kind of leaving a mystery to the background, or kind of set the groundwork first of the world as using a set like a session 0, issue 0. And call this jacket soft leather. Yes, it will be a graphic novel, but or it will be in the form of a graphic novel. But the one of the things that I am not unsure of is how much to give the reader right off the bat. Me personally, I like stories that kind of gradually give me information rather than dumping information right at the beginning. And so it's kind of a personal bias, I guess, on how I like to interpret stories. Rather than just being like, okay, he's an IT person. Why does this IT person know so much about fighting? And it's like, oh, okay. There's a lot of different things. And that is one thing that I will need to figure out how I want to display it in a because even graphic novels, they have issues, and especially I guess long-term graphic novels, I guess is the best way to do it, to compare it to. This is jacket hard leather. Mainly because some of the stuff may or may not include like some villains, and it's like, how much information do I want to give uh, the reader about the villains, or do I want to leave it a little more into mystery? So, definitely need to figure that out. And I kind of figured that I would, when I actually, what I had kind of come across or had kind of finalized so far is that when I start making this, um, the main line thing would be, free, and if I had like backing or like people donating, then you could get rewards, and some of that would be the background story stuff that doesn't really impact the main story, but is kind of the background lore of the world. because I also had planned on, because way back when I first was planning on making it with the illustrator I had hired, um, the plan was to um, do it through Patreon essentially and have it as tier rewards and all that. And some of the higher tier rewards would get background stories to some of the characters that you wouldn't necessarily see. They may be like touched on in the main story, but you wouldn't like necessarily have the pages for it. Oh, I never noticed this down here. It's kind of nice, telling me how much memory I'm using. Oops, 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 oops. Gotta wait for it now. I wonder how much my Samus fan art, as far as like gigabytes down here. Oops. God dang it. So what happens when your brain's on a siesta? Oops. You know what? I kind of forgot to fill in the inner sides of the jacket. Make sure we get this right value and we're not overlapping the different values. There's this trick that my lessons kind of touched on that I need to figure out how to do. And that's essentially creating a layer that can grayscale everything. What do you... Wait, what? Oh boy, I'm super tired when I can't read a sentence in chat. What do you do to signify a character is going to die soon? Oh, that's the thing I don't want to do. I don't want, like, I don't want to have any form of that. Like, if a person's gonna die, I want it to be a shock value to the reader. Like, that is one thing I don't like in manga. Is how they will bring in like a villain, uh, explain nothing about them, and then when they're about to die, that's when you get the flashback episodes. I'm not a fan of the flashback episodes. Or like, I guess, things that signify that someone is about to die. Like, the thing I want my story to feel like is, you know, there's danger out there. So I kind of want to have that that feeling that at any moment, any of the characters could die kind of feeling. I want that to be in the back of the head, the back of the mind of the reader at any time. That way, you know, when something like this happens, there's that shock value to it. And I'm also not the I'm also not the writer that likes to kill off a character every um like page or something. Like Game of Thrones. Every episode someone dies, and it's like, you kind of lose the value of someone dying when you just kind of kill off everybody. And like, I put so much work and dedication into a character, even if it's like for a split second that they appear on the that I planned that they appear on the page and in the issue. So it's like, I want the reader to understand, hey, if I'm killing off a character, this is a big deal for me too. But also, one of the other things is, I try to make every single one of my characters unique enough that it's possible that that character would be someone's favorite. Like, I don't want to make half-assed characters, I want to make each character meaningful in a way that if I did kill them, they would have that shock value to them. Because if you bring in a character that's just like boring or annoying and the writer kills him off, it's more of a thank God than it is a, oh, I feel sorry for the writer, or I feel sorry for the characters in the story, As a person that studied psychology for a long time, the idea that everybody is unique, and in my own personal opinion, very interesting. So I try to encapsulate that in my writing. I may have some overlap in personality simply because of my exposure to, so many different cultures, but I at least try to make people unique. Dang it, my headphones keep... I hope you guys can't hear that wire scratching. Because I can hear it in my headphones, and it's really annoying. Oh, that's good. Because I have a wired mic, and it's rubbing against the edge. Every time I move my head, it like zippers up and down on the edge, and I can hear it. So I'm glad that that doesn't actually transfer over through the audio. most of this book author love to do, that get rid of the most favorite characters on the book. That's just upsetting readers. So, I understand that people love characters, but my like, it, if you put a lot of work into a character, hopefully they will love your characters, you know. But I think sparsity, like less is more, when it comes to death of great characters. You can capitalize so much on a single death of a really good character. Like if you have a really good character and give him a really good send off in like a glorious battle and make him really heroic, you could feed off of that for issues. And I think a lot of writers are just like, more death will mean more tragedy, and that's not entirely true, at least in my opinion. You can have one tragedy that is just, that can completely like be the basis of an entire comic book. I mean, a good example is that, as much as I don't like Spider-Man, like as a entertainment, it's just not my scene. Spider-Man has a lot of things done right. And the idea is like his uncle dying. It laid the foundation, and you know, since then, how many people have died in the Spider-Man comic books? Very rare. But it's that one impactful one that kind of makes up for that and still looms with the reader that, hey, this world is full of tragedy. So I think it's important to not have so much death as much as it is to have impactful deaths. And one of the worst feelings in the world is when you have such a cool character and they get a lame death. Like, I get it. If you want to try to emulate real life, not everyone's going to have a blaze of glory moment. But it's like, when you're writing fiction, you kind of get a pass on that, in my opinion. And I think it does fall in line with what genre you are kind of subscribed to. Like, uh, I hate poking fun of Game of Thrones because, you know, a lot of people love it, and from what I understand, is a really good written book series. So, as a person that hasn't actually read this series and has only caught like glimpses of the TV show, I only have so much of an opinion. So, what I say, take with a grain of salt on like the whole Game of Thrones things. Yeah, I think like as a reader, if you have to know what you're getting into. Like, I'm a very dark writer, and I'm actually scaling back on, you know, putting in some light writing and kind of funny stuff into my comic book that really doesn't fit the genre and is more of a comedic relief of the comic book, but still trying to keep that balance of dark and light. And I think the one of the most impactful stories is the whole Yakuza series. is where I get that idea from. Like, they are a very serious, deep, uh, uh, super drama filled criminal story, and then you have these ridiculous side stories, and I was like, this is fantastic. Why not go all the way with your dark emotions? Because, in my opinion, when you have too much of, like, when you're leaning too much into one area, it's like coloring. If you have too much black, you don't have a picture. You have to have variations of um, value, and kind of translating that to storytelling. You have to have different values in the story, or else it's so monotone. It's like, it may be shock value, like when the first couple of pages, but if you plan on writing for a long time, it's gonna get really stale, in my opinion. Like, I have a shorter, like, not full series that I like, a secondary story that I was working on. That one's far darker than this one. That one's about an assassin. So I do have some edgy stuff, and I do have it, but again, it's very much shorter, and it has like a definitive end, because of how dark it actually is. That it's like, you can only eat peanut butter jelly sandwiches for so long before you get sick of peanut butter jelly sandwiches. So, even though, like, I don't want to have people influence the way I write, I do take into consideration the longevity of, you know, how a person would be able to digest my work, I guess you will. And I think that's really important when you're creating any form of art, whether it be writing, drawing, something like that. You have to, even though, like, you shouldn't let people dictate what you do or how you do it, but you should take into consideration your audience, who you're trying to target, um, if they're able to process it in the way that you want them to. Or else there's a disconnect with your audience, and most people find that displeasing. And again, all of this is done from my own point of view because of things that I've experienced um, before, whether it was me experiencing it or learning from other people's experiences, and that, like, some friends that were actually into art way before I was. I try to learn from other people's mistakes, not only my own. That way I can get on top of things. I one of the things that when I first way back when started to even write out the script for um, this graphic novel, uh, a person told me you have the right to write anything you want, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that people have to like it. So you as a writer, or you as a drawer, you whatever, as an artist of some kind out there, have the right to do whatever you want, as long as it's legal. uh, but that doesn't mean that people are going to like it. And some would argue that is the best art. I disagree with them because of my psychology background. I see art as communication rather than expression. So, communication, you have to have a transmitter and a receiver. Where, at least from what my friend, who was an art major at the time, she was like, art is expression. So, it doesn't have to be interpreted correctly. So, it's all just different points of view, you know. I have a really bad tendency to overthink of the people that I am trying to accommodate. So, definitely trying to make sure that doesn't happen with my work and my writing. Oops. Exactly. And, I take a more communicative stance on at least my art. And when it comes to communication, I don't want to bore someone. And I mean, like, I don't know if you guys have had those friends that are just like constantly edgy. It's like, okay, dude, you're edgy. We get it. It's kind of how I see my comic book or my graphic novel and my stories. It's like, ooh, wow, you're edgy at first. And it's like, okay, what else you got? To me, edginess has its place, but definitely, like drawing, you need to be careful with how you use it. Like, my character, he's dressed a little bit darker, but he is far from edgy. At least, what I would consider edgy. I was gonna say, hey, I should make the backpack orange, and then I remembered I'm doing this this art piece in black and whites. Oh man, it's the first yawn. Wonderful. Oof. See if we can't at least get the flats down today. Because I would hate to not have something to do next stream. Why isn't my preview working anymore? There we go. Okay. Clean line. Not quite sure what I selected. What did I select? Oh, that little piece. Okay. So let's get, this will be his mask. That's not good. I just looked down at my thing and we're at 2.4 gigabytes. Out of 10? No, 8. Oh no, it's an 8 by 10, 2.4 gigabytes. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm tired. Leave me alone. I'm all loopy right now. It's like what? Okay, that was weird. That was a really late reaction from my PC. Yeah, because I'm not gonna make it. I'm way too tired. Holy cow. That is one thing that I miss from the coffee shops that I really can't replicate here. Well, I guess it kind of is a little bit with you guys here. You guys are keeping me awake, but with the when I used to study at a coffee shop, having that ambient like random noises definitely helped me stay focused and like awake enough to study. Also, I didn't want to, pass out in front of anyone. So his hair is pretty dark. mask. What is the deal with the mask? It's a gas mask. Or a filter mask. But essentially, the whole idea of I think I've talked about this before, that for my everyday superheroes, I don't want them having like super clean, super, you know, legitimate superhero costumes. And so they kind of put together whatever they could find. So it's not necessarily for anything, it's just, in my opinion, it's easy to go down to Lowe's, pick up a filter mask, than to make a mask that would fit over his eyes and kind of cling to it using super secret technology that they don't even use strings or anything. Like, I had originally the idea is that especially in like the first issue, you're gonna see him building his costume as he goes along, because the idea is that he starts off with nothing and he has to adjust to being a superhero. So uh, most likely the mask is something he stole in order to protect his identity, like off of the street or something. Like maybe he was passing by um, some street workers, not street workers. That sounds bad. The people that work on street construction workers, and he just kind of swipes it. Because again, you have to remember that the design for my main character was a motorcycle helmet. Um, he drives a motorcycle, like that's his main way of getting around. And I was like, it would make sense that his superhero costume would be a motorcycle helmet. But um, the illustrator, back when I was doing that, he had suggested, hey, maybe not have 1,000 frames with a guy in a motorcycle helmet. So things changed from there, and I thought maybe he's right. Maybe there should be some elements to actually seeing the person's face and not having a faceless hero. That way you can still get the eye expressions. So I thought a mouth mask would be better for the reader to understand how he's feeling. Like, you see comic books, they break the laws of physics by having Spider-Man's eyes widen through a mask, and like their masks kind of the masks of the superheroes kind of their eyes widen, and it's like that's not how masks work, but they do that because eye expression is extremely important, and they kind of drew themselves into a corner. So I just decided, you know what? We're gonna do a mouth mask instead. That way I don't have that issue of having to break the laws of physics and create my cloth that somehow shifts with the superhero. So it's, I guess you would say it's more of a tool for me and the reader than it is for the actual character. Yeah, but you have to realize that those people went out of their way to make a very intricate mask. I've seen those cosplayers that have those really crazy uh, things. I think I talked about that last stream of being out nerded. Um, and yeah, like that's dedication and everything. And I'm like, you know, if you're trying to be a superhero, are you going to be spending more time creating a suit, or are you going to be spending more time out there trying to save people? And I'm like, if a person is trying to be out there trying to save people more than they are working on their suit, I felt, you know what, they wouldn't have the best of costumes if they're just like, especially if they're constantly getting ripped up, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, and like the second that thing takes one hit, it's done. He could make one, but again, having to make those repairs every time it gets hit is not feasible for any person in any uh, war zone situation. Like, as a martial artist, you want to simplify. Like this goes back to my martial arts training. You want to simplify things. You don't want to have gizmos. You don't want to have like all these things because they get broken. Like back when I was learning to uh, I was doing a specific job, and they said, if you wear watches, don't wear a watch when you're on the job, because if you get into a fight, you're going to break that watch. So it gets really expensive to try to replace those moving parts if it's really intricate. So, like, one of the things I want to drive home is that my character is not filthy rich. In fact, he's borderline a criminal when it comes to obtaining money because of how poor he is. Definitely the know-how could be there, but again, the resources and constant availability of those resources wouldn't be as, you know, feasible. It's like you look at Batman. Yeah, he has the money and the time and the know-how to do it, which makes sense for him. With Spider-Man, I always felt that that was an oversight. That yes, he was really smart, but it's like they always drove home that he was poor. You know, so he was always living paycheck to paycheck, being a photographer. And I was like, those costumes get expensive if like they really stick to the lore that they are that intricate, especially his web slingers. It's like I don't care how smart you are, you still gotta pay for resources. Unless of course you're like stealing the stuff. Which I'm pretty sure they don't want their precious Spider-Man to be labeled as a criminal. Not sure exactly what the worst thing Spider-Man is kind of accused of. At least the real Spider-Man, not like alternate universe Spider-Man. See you later, cutie. Thanks for stopping by again. Always a pleasure to have people come in. And yeah, have a great night. I probably won't be on too much longer myself, as I feel my eyes getting really heavy. But I do want to try to push on towards at least filling in the colors. The worst part is that my bed is like literally right behind me in my setup. So it's like right after this, I'm just gonna plop right onto it. I can feel the comfort emanating from my bed. Oh boy, I'm starting to lose it. The war here. Let's at least get the skin, and then we'll call it a night. Let's try to push some 10:30. I think I can survive 20 minutes. I say that before I pass out. Now, my main character is slightly darker skin, so I don't know if it's best to keep him as a white for the sake of simplicity, because I know a lot of manga they do just simply white because, you know, most Japanese skin color is very, very pale. But I want to see how it looks if I were to darken the skin. And it may have to just be a really it may have to be very slightly, like uber slightly. Like, I planned my main character to have mixed lineage. So I would like to get him with a different skin color rather than just the background white. But then it kind of looks like he's shirtless because it almost looks like the same color. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna keep it like this, and we're gonna see how it looks in the final product, and then from there, later on in the work, we can make a determination if we want to keep it moving forward with the design of him. Now we're getting into the smaller of details, and I'm on the fence of whether I want to make each one of those small details a different layer, or if like I should have a layer called gun and a layer called knife rather than having gun barrel, gun, grip, because all of those will be different colors, but or different values, I should say. But it may get a little too layer extensive. I don't know why this down here is bothering me. Why does this say 2.7 gigabytes out of 4 gigabytes? Like, do I have a maximum of gigabytes? I don't know. I hope not. That would complicate things a lot. Because I still plan on adding another person to this, even though it will technically be on a separate project. I do plan on adding a female to this picture as well. It won't be the necromancer. it would actually be another one of his companions. Was it if it was going to be the necromancer? What does this mean? Why is there a exclamation mark now? Did I make this thing too big? I may have screwed myself over by making it too big. Well, let's go until it tells me you're over the limit. If that's the case, I am going to be in trouble. And then I have to reevaluate how large I make my pictures. That's going to be annoying. All because I wanted more. I may be able to salvage it if I can resize it, like the whole project, without interfering with like merging the layers together. Any interest funeral practices? What? Funeral practices? What do you mean by that? Like, death shots? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Like, literal funerals? Like, drawing literal funerals? Whoa, what happened here? mean, it looks cool. I don't know what happened, but it looked cool. Oh, is there an open line? Is that what happened? Doesn't look like there's an open line. Or did I hit the wrong layer? What? There we go. That was weird. Could just be my PC dying from how big this picture is. I'm gonna have to rescale it. Okay. Let's save it and see if we can even rescale it. That sucks. Image. There's scale image to new size. I saw it somewhere. Where is it? Resize the canvas? No. Nope, that. Nope. Whoop. Do you want to save it? No. Okay. Image. Scale to new size. Okay, it's doing every single layer. Good. Good. Okay. I was a little worried that it was only going to do one layer at a time. Let's see if that fixes the cap of which, because even my Ina art I didn't have an issue with, so I may have to go back to that scale. Okay. Oh boy, fun. Well, we were able to save it. I got about like 6 minutes before I should get off and sleep. Although that is good to know. That is good to know that if I want to do a really detailed picture, that I can draw it big and then resize it when I go to color it. That way all those details can be there and I can just work with that. That is good to know. I was not aware that Krita had a maximum gigabyte function, I guess. Why am I working on the pack? I haven't even finished the gun yet. Okay, so most of my issues today was because I made my canvas way too big from the start. You live and learn. I wonder if that has to do with my, like how good or how bad my PC is. Like, I wonder if I could make bigger pictures if, like, I had more, memory with my PC. Alright, we're almost done laying the flats here. Let's make it kind of a darker backpack. Ooh, that'd be cool. Where's my mask one? So I still need the face details. I need the belt. Okay. And then that should be it, just the face details and the belt. Oh, and the knife. Okay. So let's make sure I write my notes before I head off. color in face details, knife, belt, begin, shading. Create, blur, line, layer. Alright. I'm mega tired. And I don't know if anyone's still in here with me, but I suck at outros. So I'm just gonna say goodnight and end it here. See you next stream, everyone.